I just wanted to start by saying Flora and Ulysses is so adorable. It's so cute and so great to see a kid's story with Marvel elements and superhero elements in general. But I really wanted to know, like, the film adaptation of Flora and Ulysses is very different from the book version. Can you tell me, like, what were the decisions behind making the changes from the story of Flora and her mother, and then to dealing with her parents' separation?
A lot of that was at the level of Brad Copeland, who wrote for things like Arrested Development. He's such a funny writer. He first adapted the story. He did it on spec, and he kind of made it focus on everybody's different sort of they all had their personal journeys to kind of being dealt a blow, and how do they come out of it. And so I think that made him make George like a more fully realized character that had his own journey. Phyllis needed to have her own journey, William and Flora, and that gave her a little bit of departure. And I think wanted to take a little bit, he wanted us to, we worked together for almost the whole movie on making sure that you're also rooting for Phyllis.
Yeah.
Because Phyllis is just almost a straight villain in the book. We wanted to make it that you were rooting for people to figure out a way kind of out of their personal trauma that they had undergone.
Well, I did love the addition of so many characters. I love that Danny Pooty was like as the animal control guy with the whole backstory of his character. And I love your relationship with him because I love the Tiger Hunter. Like, I love that movie so much. And he mentioned that he is going to work with you for feature from now on. He's set to go with you on every film.
Yeah, I will put him in everything I ever do if I can.
Yeah, well, I was wondering, like, what's it like working with Danny again? And would you plan on taking him everywhere with you? Is he the Johnny Depp to your Tim Burton?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I am working on a movie right now that's set in a different time. And I literally, there's conversations I have with my brother who he's sort of my semi-writing partner. And I'll be like, okay, but how do we figure out somebody who will come from out of town so that I could put Danny Pooty in this movie? And they're just because he's good. He's a consummate actor. Like he is a pro. He will give you what any director needs. If you need soul, he'll give you soul. If you need comedy, and he'll do it with nuance and like this incredible intelligence that I think informs everything he does and just elevates it.
Yeah, but I love your relationship that you guys work together, even the background stuff before from the Tiger Hunter, watching that stuff. But back to the film, I am excited because I noticed you displayed a lot of Marvel characters, particularly a South Asian Muslim teenage superhero. Is this a hint that you're giving us for Marvel and Disney?
No, I don't think so. I just love Miss Marvel. I actually I would have really loved to be I really wanted to be involved in the Miss Marvel show, but they were staffing up for that at the time that I was in post-production, and Disney tried, like, is there a way we can make the schedules work? But ultimately I was in post-production, so I couldn't. And so yeah. But there's no nod. It's just my love for that character.
Well, who knows? There could be a season 2, and they could be looking for people because we follow you on Twitter. We've been following you forever, with your work and everything. And so I wanted to know if you had the opportunity to work on Miss Marvel, what would you kind of what kind of idea? What would you explore with her?
I think I'd want to keep her as kind of real and authentic as possible, but not use that as any way to hold her back. Like, Miss Marvel is something that's so great about that comic is that it really just goes for it creatively in a way like the Calvin and Hobbes does, I think. Yeah. It's very smart, and it's very kind of raw and playful. And I think I would try to push that. You kind of have this sort of that sort of playfulness that Taika Waititi has, for instance. I think that's that sort of vibe is inherent in the Miss Marvel cartoon comic, and I think you can really push that visually and in terms of what she does, and she'll be the one that grounds it and keeps it real while you're kind of having that playfulness happening.
Well, another thing that I love that you display so many of the characters and the superheroes in the world. How fun was it creating putting all the Easter eggs into this film? Because we saw so many Easter eggs, and we were just like, did you like plan it while you were working with Brad, like writing it out, or did you just like while you're filming, you're like, we need to add all this elements to it?
No, I'm just nerdy like that. So I don't think Brad's as comic book horrific about that sort of stuff. But Brad had a lot of like Brad had some fun things like the Mission Impossible falling down. Like those are things that he had in the script. Other ones, especially the Easter eggs, were just like me having fun and then like scheming with my production designer Michael Fitzgerald. We're like, okay, how can we get 3 ducks with matching like collar bands that represent Huey and Louie in the background of Miller's office? Like it would go to that length. I was like, I don't care if anybody sees it from except me. It just makes me happy.
Well, what I also love about, like, it's my favorite thing I love to ask, like directors who jump from indie to the mainstream, like Disney and WB. Like I've asked this to many indie directors. Like I like to ask the impact of creating this film now with a bigger budget, you know, and with a bigger production. How was it working for an indie film prepared you for something like this?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think making an indie film teaches you how to fight for a project. Like you fight for, like you put all of your heart and soul and time and everything that's in you into that movie. And so that has just become part of my filmmaker DNA. And so I think people could tell when I was working on this movie that that is sort of what I was bringing to it. Like there was no piece of dialogue, no piece of thing that didn't have a lot of thought behind it, and if it was important to us, that I wouldn't fight for. And if it wasn't something the studio didn't like, well, we would fight for something that still worked, but that would make them happy too. So it was just having something be so special and meaningful to you that you are willing to like put everything in your existence into it, really.
Well, that's what I really loved about like this film because I just felt like it had all the elements that we know as you as the director loved. Another thing is because of the story, the changes that were made too, like the ad, like with the separation to, and you know, I'm not going to spoil it, but you know, this, with everything going on in Flora's life, what would you say is the most important takeaway from the story?
Man, the biggest thing is the thematic thing that no matter how much the world breaks you, uh, you don't need your situation to resolve. You need to figure out a way to see the world differently, and that's possible. Like basically, it's Ben's line that it's okay to hope.
Mm-hmm. Well, another thing I really love about a quote that you've read, I read like a bunch of your articles, like people have written, and my favorite quote from you is about like not having you be defined by your work, like your, you know, background, like as like, you know, but us as Asian women, you know, that doesn't define our future work. And I love that like you are filming Flora and Ulysses because it's not based on, you know, any background. It's just a love for comic books and a love for the story. How important was this when you received this film and it's just a basic story about a girl's love for superheroes and, you know, her family?
I think that central thing about people suffering from some sort of blow to their life felt so strong to me, and I really resonated with that. And then afterwards, in terms of what you're saying, like it was a very special along the way to realize that I was being given the opportunity to do a project that also reflected a part of me, that there are parts of me that aren't just like a scarf on my head or that I'm a female filmmaker, that there is a lot of things that make up a normal human's identity, and that they're allowing me to flex a different one of them and see me kind of as a fully formed human. And I think that shows a lot of progress.
No, and I really enjoyed that. And one more thing, because before we wrap up, I just wanted to know what was the most difficult thing about the working with a CGI squirrel? Because maybe in the future there could be a CGI raccoon.
Oh, the craziest thing about it was, you know, he actually has a personality, and getting the personality to be exactly what you want it to be, but expressed in squirrel language, meaning his physicality and his vocalizations and even his tail. Like the things he does have a language, and you need him to have a personality you want, and that's actually hard to make that happen.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. We look forward to like just seeing everything, all the projects you've been doing, and we are huge fans of yours.
Thank you. You guys have always been really supportive.
Yeah, like we're huge fans. We can't wait. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pop culture with a different perspective. Watch it on your screen, hit play, so check this.